Really want to go home, and my parents thought that if I focus on my recovery at sober living, it would prepare me for the outside world. And it was basically my decision. I just really want to stay sober. I don't want to relapse. I know it's going to be hard, but I know this place is really working for me. So
why don't you tell us what the difference is between when you were using drugs and now?
when I was using drugs, I didn't like anything. I didn't like sports. I didn't like my parents. I was selfish. The only things I did was to please myself and not others. And it was just all about me. And right now, sober living and rehab has helped me to progress a lot with my recovery. It's helping me stay sober. I care about everyone now, my family, my friends, and basically anyone I hang out with. And I know that I'm going to stay sober, so.
So tell us, wrap it all up for us. Tell us why sober living is important. Why not just go home after being in a rehab facility?
Sober living is extremely important because it's a bit more freedom, and you can make your own choices, and if you make the wrong choices, you live with the consequences. And if you were at home, basically for me, I'd probably relapse, because if I didn't come to sober living, it wouldn't help me at all. I'd be more open to my friends and to everyone else for using, and I just know that sober living it's extremely important in recovery. So.
Alex, is there anything else you want people to be aware of with drug addiction and alcoholism? Is there any words of wisdom that you can pass along?
Well, definitely get a sponsor, work the 12 steps, pray to your higher power, because that's extremely important, have a good connection with him, and just do what you have to do and just stay sober, whatever it takes.
As far as my background, I didn't take the needle out of my arm until I was 27. I went to 9 different colleges, and it was a pretty rocky road. About 25, my mom looked at me and she said she was okay if I died. That's kind of, thinking back on it, you know, you have your mother that you love dearly saying she's okay if I just OD or kill myself. But looking back, that was very healthy for her. She had to go through her own recovery also, and she is the one who wrote the first chapter in the book, and she puts it pretty bluntly as far as for parents to stop worrying and trying to control the kid and get healthy themselves. You know, a lot of parents don't understand that what they're doing is not for the kid, it's for themselves, because the system is sick, and without the entire system changing, then the kid just comes right back into the old system, and it really doesn't work. And it wasn't, you know, that I had been through treatment 5 times, and it wasn't anything catastrophic that got me to think about sobriety. Although I'd lost 2 vehicles in a matter of 2 weeks, because my philosophy was you didn't need a driver's license, you just needed a key in a car to drive. You know, all this other stuff that the government wanted you to do that really didn't appeal to me. However, they did take both of the vehicles, and so I had a job, and my wife today of 18 years pretty much just looked at me and said, I'll date you if you quit all this and all this, you know, drug use and alcohol, and which is a drug, but partying, and I said okay. So I checked myself into a halfway house, And I had 2 bags of clothes to my name at the time. And I was living on the street, barely making it to work and back. And it was just her caring about me that made the difference. So all the treatment that I had prepared me for what I'm doing, but you know, it was just her giving me a chance. I mean, hell, you have your own mother say she doesn't care for you. No, that's not true. She doesn't care, but she's prepared for me to die, but that's how I translated it. And then here you have someone saying that they'll pay attention to you and date you. So that's kind of how I got into sobriety. I was interested in her, and I know today if I use, she'll leave me, which is good for her, which is also good for me. It's a deterrent that works well.
What kind of hope can you pass on to the parents, to the children that are addicts?
Well, as long as they're breathing, you need to help. You know, I hear all this other stuff about put them on the street and, you know, let them do more research, I guess some people say. When they're ready, they'll come asking for help. But I've seen a lot of people die when families take that line. In fact, Jake died about a month ago. He had discharged from the program and OD'd on heroin. Parents need to not enable, but support when the addict is ready for help. Or if they think the kid's life is in danger, then they need to get an order of protective custody. It's insane to sit back and not do anything when they're killing themselves. Because I have seen addicts not want treatment, but by the end of the treatment episode, they're wanting recovery. And you always hear professionals say, well, you can't help an addict if they don't want help. Well, that's bull. I don't know how many people came through Sundown Ranch that I helped that didn't want to be there, but are sober today because I helped break the denial and I helped prepare the parents and give the kid the skills and the tools to arrest the progression of the disease. I hope in the near future for our profession that they'll stop saying those sentences that are really counterproductive and harmful to our clients. You can help an addict even though he doesn't want help. Probably 10 years ago, I had a dream, and an actual dream, not a dream as in, you know, just thinking about it, but this was an actual dream. And it was kind of interesting. The dream was about me fighting the devil. And ironically, I had given my soul to the devil in a crack house, probably 10 years prior to the actual dream. And while I was in the crack house, I said I'd never worship God. I would never do anything in His name as long as, you know, cocaine and crack and heroin and some of the harder drugs would stay in my life. I didn't get into devil worshiping or anything like that. I just denounced God and gave my soul to the devil. Well, I was having this dream, and I was fighting the devil, and it was so surreal that you could see his horns, and it was just like I was there in the moment. And all of a sudden, I hear my wife yelling and screaming, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" And I had gone into the bathroom. I had got out of bed where I was dreaming, went into the bathroom, and was knelt down on my knees. And I was screaming, "I can see, I can see." And what it was this ball of light coming towards me. And I kind of think my soul was given back to me at that particular point in time. I know we never took it, but just kind of metaphorically speaking. Or maybe he did, I don't know. Not that wise in it. But I know that things changed for me after that. I decided that I would write a book, and that I would give the proceeds to a foundation to help individuals get treatment that need it, that can't afford it. And also back then, I made a commitment to open up a treatment center. I mean, it's kind of funny how it's all coming true, today. But I guess I'm getting emotional because it's kind of remembering what I was like, in a crack house, giving my soul to the devil, to what I do now. It's kind of different. And one of the reasons I denounced God was because I was abused from 10 to 17 by a principal. And so I didn't want anything to do with God. Well, what happened was Sundown Ranch had a transitional facility, and he was going to shut it down. And I decided to quit Sundown Ranch and continue sober living. And I changed the name, and I made it a non-profit entity. So that's kind of how it came about. It's kind of interesting now that I think about it. Things are starting to really come true. I hadn't really been so busy trying to get licensed and doing everything else that actually is coming to fruition, and it's kind of neat hearing myself go back from the beginning to this stage today. This is the second year that we've had Stride for Recovery. And the first year, I don't know what I was thinking. I don't know where the idea came from. Maybe God, who knows. But I had the idea that a walkathon would help kind of spread the message and decrease the ignorance that exists in our society. We still have people thinking that chemical dependency is a moral issue. It's about right or wrong. So it's going to be vital that professionals like myself do all we can to diminish the stigma that is associated with chemical dependency. Families would rather have a son or a daughter with bipolar or a mental illness versus substance abuse. And so we need to come out of the dark ages because people are dying, they need help. And it's kind of ironic that this year, 2010, the Parity Act was passed. And now they have to, I guess, notice, or they have to accept chemical dependency as a disease and put it back in the model and start paying for services again. Before, what they would do is discriminate against us. And that was morally wrong. They want to talk about moral issues. Well, how about discrimination? If someone broke their leg twice, according to them, they couldn't go back for a third time. You just had to live with it. Because insurance companies were saying 3 treatments per lifetime, max. Which is ludicrous. So the Parity Act passed, and that was why I kind of wanted to get the message out to help that initiative. I started Rational Reflections on a whim. I had been at Sundown Ranch for 15 years. I was the clinical director for 6 or 7 of those years. And I saw a revolving door. And what I mean by that is they would come to Sundown Ranch at 13. Then they would return at 18. And then they would return again at 21. And so I wanted to stop the revolving door. And the idea that I came up with was sober living. That's not a new idea by any means, but in Dallas there's not but 1 or 2 structured facilities like mine. And we're even going further by getting a license by the Texas Department of State and Health Services, which I will be the only one around that is licensed, a sober transitional facility licensed by the state. The walk, again, was just me trying to help the initiative. And we did real well. We had 130 walkers our first year. And we had probably 10 other facilities like Right Step, Care, Sundown Ranch, Hazleton. They would all sponsor and donate money, and we were able to raise $15,000 the first year. Now, it cost me $10 to put it on, but you know, that's how it goes. I think this year it'll cost me $10 to put it on, and I'll double the revenue. But it doesn't go to me. It doesn't go to Rational Reflections. It goes to 3 individuals that can't afford treatment. And what I'm going to do is scholarship 6 people for 3 months, or 3 people for 6 months, however it works out, however the board decides to do it. But this year there's an actual goal at the end of the rainbow. Last year the goal was just to get it on and have people aware and to do something in the community. This year there's a specific goal of helping someone that can't afford it. And this is a gift of life, because chemical dependency will kill.
Getting back to the walk, Lenny, what can we expect from the walk? I understand you've got several people coming to the walk, several artists that's going to be there. Tell us about what that looks like.
Well, last year we had it at Bachman Lake. About 3 o'clock, the beer drinkers showed up, and the cars and the circling and all of that. And so it was kind of ironic. We had Selfish Steam come in, and they were playing, and they won the 2009 Prism Award.